Getting in front of the camera requires build-up just like anything else. Just like when you first start exercising, it can feel really foreign, but if you show up every day and you practice it more and more, you'll get more used to it, and then it becomes a lot easier. It just takes practice and consistency, and then over time you just keep building it up like a muscle, and then you get really used to it, and then it gets easier and a lot more fun to do. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a couple points to help you create that build-up in your life to get camera ready and less camera shy. When you put it all together, it's going to help you create the best experience for you to get in front of the camera. So rather than seeing the points that I share today as its own standalone parts, see it as pieces to a full puzzle. So today I'm going to be splitting the points into two parts. The first part is how you can mentally prepare, and then the second part is how you can tangibly prepare to be in front of the camera. The first point to get you into the right mental state is to not talk to the lens like you're talking to a really big crowd. Hello everyone, it is me. Instead, talk to the lens like you're talking to a friend. Use this to your advantage because you know that there isn't really a big crowd in front of you. You are just sitting in front of the lens, in front of the camera. And instead of getting really nervous that, oh, a lot of people are going to be seeing this video the minute I put it out, talk to the camera like you're only going to be showing your friend afterwards. Of course, over time, you're going to be able to get more comfortable in front of the camera, and this is when you can add more of your personality, more dynamic, more performance, and kind of have that better presentation. The second point is to talk like it matters. This concern also translates into public speaking, where sometimes when you get really, really shy, you can act very timid and make yourself a lot smaller than you should be. Hi everybody, so today I have something that I want to talk to you about, and this is going to be my story by me. Whereas when you talk to a friend, you might notice that you get really amped up about the conversation that you're having because it's something that you're passionate about and it's something that you're more confident about, which is why the first point also really matters, to talk like you're talking to a friend, because that's really when you're going to be able to bring out your true passionate side of you, and you won't have to be so concerned about presenting yourself in a certain way, but instead you're focusing on the actual topic at hand and the thing that you know matters to you most. I believe that this is how I will change the world. Thank you for listening. If you think about it, the worst that'll happen is that someone will close your video or skip different parts of it, and that's okay because sometimes that might not be the person that you are trying to speak to anyways. You have to be very, very shameless and very forgiving of yourself. You cannot be afraid to look really stupid in front of the camera because that's just what's gonna help you get more used to it. Plus, it makes you more relatable. The more concerned you are with how you look, the more stiff you're gonna be in front of the camera, and you're gonna be really awkward and really like uncomfortable, and people can sense that discomfort, okay? Be a little bit goofy, be yourself. Now that being said, of course, there's always our inner self and then the self that we put out into the world, but that doesn't mean to completely eliminate that part of your personality, because ultimately that is what's going to draw people in and be what makes people like you. This is going to be my story for the world. To not expect any kind of outcome from filming. I think a lot of people have this misconception that the minute they sit in front of the camera and they do the job and they're like, wow, okay, I did really great, that all of a sudden they're going to be the next internet star. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on a person because ultimately you can't expect immediate results. Yes, there are cases where that has happened and you go on TikTok and then you blow up in the next day and your whole life changes. Yes! But I don't think you should be going in front of the camera for that purpose, because I think the part of the process that makes it really fun is to be in front of it, is to enjoy this whole journey. No one cares about this as much as you do, and I say that with a lot of love and a lot of compassion, because I'm not saying that no one is going to care about it, but rather that this project in itself is yours completely. It is what you put into it, it is what you expect the outcome to be, it is how you build up your skills over time, how you get comfortable in front of the camera. All of it is so much more important to know, rather than expecting a whole crowd of people to suddenly give you a whole bunch of appreciation and tell you that you're the best in the world, when really there's always a way to get better at it. Here's the best part of it though, because you are the star of your own show, you get full control of it. That means that when you are filming, don't be so nervous to make mistakes, because ultimately at the end of the day, you know that whatever you don't like, you can always cut out, you can always edit out. Your editing will get a lot better over time if you do your own editing, and you'll know what is more required from you when you get on the camera the next time. Okay, so here's where things get really fun, because these are the actionable steps that you can take now to start getting camera ready. The first tip that always helps me get into the mood is to have a glam sesh or do something that makes you feel physically really, really good. Also, because it doesn't take a lot of energy, it just really allows me to ease into my day really well. The way that I see it, getting on camera has a performance element to it, so I would always prepare to be in front of the camera as if I'm about to give a performance or presentation. Doing this helps me really feel like I've done everything I can to prepare myself to feel the best and look the best that I know I can be. So this is just my version of how I feel like I can get ready best, but you can also obviously implement your own versions of how you get ready and glam up for yourself. So I'm not saying that you always have to be camera ready, you always have to look your best and feel your best to be in front of the camera, but I think that's a really, really good starting point, because when you do that preparation, you know that you did what it takes to put yourself together to your best abilities, and that can really help you increase confidence over time, and then afterwards maybe you can relax a little bit more and not feel the need to do all of that before getting in front of the camera. Another alternative that I like to do is to do some quick exercise to get your blood flowing and get yourself amped up in front of the camera. Go listen to some hype music, do some jumping jacks, some push-ups, or literally what I like to do, which is just like jump up and down and shake everything off. Just shake it off, be goofy, have fun, let loose, get your blood flow going, get everything active, your body awake, and it'll just feel so good. This next point isn't for everybody because some people will find it more draining to do, but sometimes I find that it's easier to talk to friends or talk to somebody before getting on camera. I think it helps you warm up your vocal cords, it helps you warm up your whole body to get into the mindset of like discussion and talking. If you are doing a talking video, you would want to act as if you're engaging with a real person. So you can tell when you are talking to a person and they're just really, really tired, as if they didn't get enough sleep, and that's not really the most engaging way to be in front of the camera. I actually made this mistake in a previous video where half of the video you can tell that I wasn't quite awake yet, and then the second half I was like, okay, I'm ready now. So that was really a moment that I really wanted to note for myself, and I was like, oh, I feel like this could help someone else too. A really important tip that I really encourage everyone to do is to actually make note of what the main point that you want to talk about today is. What are you here to talk about today? As much as I've said to talk to the camera like it's your friend, ultimately if you're going to be posting this online, it has to be capturing in some way. So what I like to do is to just jot down the main points, the points that I know that I really want to touch upon, so that when I am filming and talking, I can look back on it and make sure that I'm kind of sticking to a plan. So this is just a really quick and easy way to be able to make sure that you're on track. Something that I've noticed is that when you do end up talking and talking, you might actually find that you missed a couple points. So it's really helpful to be able to look back on the points that you want to touch upon and then be able to come back into it and then continue that way. And it really helps you condense your main point where people can follow what you're trying to say. I've definitely made this mistake over and over and over again in the past, so I'm also learning to try and get to the main point a little bit quicker, because I am a person who loves to talk your ear off, and I love to go in all different tangents because I'm like, oh, this is really interesting, but also that's really interesting, but also get this. But at the same time, it's like, I know that you're here for a specific reason, and I also want to deliver the value that I initially set out to give. So if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, I relate to her, I'm also a wandering mind, let me know in the comments down below, and also tell me what you're gonna do for the next video so you can be more structured and straight to the point. And if you go down that route, then you end up bumping into the brown cow. Wait, why did I tell that story again? And last of all, but definitely not least, get in front of the camera and just start talking. Okay. So this is gonna be my first video. I know you've heard this before, but I'm going to reiterate it because there is something so important about just doing that. If you've never actually done this, but you've heard this over and over again, there's really a difference between knowing it and actually doing it. The very first time I took up the camera and I started vlogging, because that's where I started, it was so different, and a lot of things come up that you don't expect it to. As in, a lot of what you realized about yourself, whether it's like the way that you talk, the way you act in front of the camera, maybe all of a sudden your personality changes the minute like a lens is pointing at you, and you won't know that until you really point a camera at yourself and you actually have to press the button. Don't just like sit there and put the camera in front of you, because you know when it's really recording you, you know if it's like not real and it's like there's no pressure. You have to apply a little bit of pressure on yourself. It's kind of like when you're playing poker with money versus playing poker with gummy bears. One of them, you know the stakes are like real and they're really high, so you try to perform the best that you can, and then the other one you're kind of like, it's fine, I'll just give it a go. I can afford to lose this. You can't afford to lose this. If you want to be in front of the camera, you have to take yourself seriously. As much as I say have fun in front of the camera, I also want you to take the skill very seriously. It's different every time, and you'll really notice. The more you do it, the better or more comfortable you'll be in front of the lens. A nice little thing to help you get started is just to sit down and talk about your day. Today's actually a really nice day. I didn't expect it to be because it's been raining all week. Did you know there was an earthquake recently? That's pretty crazy, right? Something that doesn't require so much mental energy, something that doesn't require you to be like, oh, what should I say next? Just be a little bit more flexible with the context, because you know that this might not be the video that you put out there, but it's definitely a really great way to start talking. That was a little bit scary because it was in the middle of the night and nobody knew except for me in my household because I was the only one that was awake, so that's pretty scary. Also, side note, you are probably not going to like your voice the very first couple times that you listen and watch your own videos. I know when I hear my voice sometimes, I'm still like, oh, don't show that video to me, I don't want to hear it. Just turn it off, turn it off. That's definitely a learning curve to get used to, but I hope you can get to a point where you do appreciate your efforts and you do get to enjoy your own videos that you make, even if your voice is like really weird to hear. Keep eye contact. It's really distracting when you're watching a video and the subject's eyes are kind of like darting all over the place, and it's just like you can't really focus on what they're talking about. I'm not really the type to be able to hold eye contact with a person in real life for very long too, but I know it's really good practice, and also it really helps the other person to know that you're interested in the conversation, that what you're saying and what they're saying is important to you, and just to be a little bit more present. Something else that I noticed that's a little bit distracting is when someone's like kind of fidgeting. I think that's very different from hand movements. I think hand movements can be more engaging, it can keep the person hooked, but when you're like kind of fidgeting and then on top of that you're not including eye contact, it's distracting for not only the person watching but for you. Fidgeting can be a sign of like nervousness or feel a little bit like an imposter, and that's also why the earlier point, the mental preparation point of knowing that you have value and knowing that what you bring to the table is really important, because even if it's not important to the whole wide world, at least it's important enough to you. So because it was important enough for you to step in front of the camera in the first place, I want you to be able to make the most of it. I hope that you learned something from all the points and tips that I gave today, and I hope that this helps you become a better creator. If it did, don't forget to like this video to let me know, and subscribe so that you can join this creative community. I'll be posting a lot more videos about the creative process and everything behind that. So come and join this experience with me, because I'm here to help the creator in you step into the spotlight. Feel free to check out and follow my Instagram as well. I post a lot more creative content and ideas over there, and tag me if you created something that you learned from me. Now that you have all the methods to get away from your camera shyness, go create something that you're proud of. See you next time. Bye!
More dog memes. More dog memes.